Right, social media, blogs, vlogs, video clips, podcasts, and many, many more. There's a range of different methods that you can be using with regards to content marketing to help raise engagement with your brands. So today I'm going to speak a little bit about how to provoke your audience and get them really engaging with you. And for me, that really does start with ensuring that you're targeting the right people. So as Felicity mentioned, I'm Stacey Kehoe, the founder of Brandlective Communications, digital marketing agency. And I'm going to run you through a couple of introductory things that I know we all do know, but I think it's worth addressing just so we're all on the same page. So what is content marketing? The actual definition, a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online material, such as vlogs, blogs, social posts, etc., that does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. I think that last part is really, really important to pay attention to. It does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products and services. And I think most businesses, venues, events, whatever included, often do focus on promoting what they do. It becomes very much about them, our value proposition, what we can provide our customers or our audience or the people that we want to hire our venues. But the reality is it needs to be focused on the person that you want, your customer. It needs to be about their needs. It needs to be about their values and what they're actually looking for. Every single day, we see an average of 285 pieces of content. So how do you stand out from the crowd? How do you raise engagement online for your business or your brand or your venue when your average customer is seeing this much content? Engagement in the forms of clicks, comments, shares, calls to action. Obviously, the end goal usually is for someone to take action. For it to be successful, it must educate, entertain, or inspire. Ideally, all three, but at least one of those things. And I know I'm getting down to the basics here a little bit, but I just want to be clear on what we're talking about. So to educate, this type of content is often prefaced by a headline that starts with either how or why. So maybe in a blog format or an article or whatever it might be. Entertainment is quite often best done by video or by GIFs or by social media stories. Inspire, this is an often overlooked goal, and it is to provide inspiration. So an example of that would be 10 ways to provide a wow factor at your next event. So I just want to get clear on, this is what kind of makes successful content and improves engagement levels. The common problems with engagement, I know we're talking about very negative things here today, but it is really important to understand problems because then you're able to find solutions and to present the right information to your audience. So most venues struggle with online engagement due to the following reasons. Algorithms regularly change across social media channels. Is anybody experiencing a massive decrease in engagement levels across Facebook right now? Some nods, yes. Obviously, there's been a huge algorithm change there on top of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, so there's a huge decrease in engagement levels there, so that's a huge issue for a lot of businesses. Content is not driven by audience needs. Content is too self-promotional. It's focused on your own value proposition. Lack of creativity and lack of a variety of content, so just focusing too much on one type of marketing. Failure to track metrics. The number one reason for poor engagement is actually marketing to the wrong audience. And there's a stat by the Harvard Business Review, which is that 72% of marketing activity is actually targeted on the wrong person. So as you can imagine, that has a huge impact on the levels of engagement you're actually getting with content or social media or whatever it might be, because it's actually not even getting in front of the right person, the right decision maker. So you must ensure that you're targeting the right person. So obviously that involves who is your customer, Who is the person making the decision to hire your venue, to book your event, to work with your business? And which platforms does that person use? So I think this is something that it's very easy to become guilty of, getting onto a range of different social media platforms that we're excited about and not actually considering where our customers actually are. So our number one priority, and we're going to work through this a little bit today, is building a customer avatar. This is marketing 101. So identifying your customer and uncovering their pain points so that you can create the right type of marketing to actually appeal to them. As I mentioned, not all about you, it's all about the customer. And I think actually this morning, I thought the panel was so interesting because that's something that they really delved into, wasn't it? That they're really looking to please their clients. And so considering what the client actually needs rather than just what the venue offers, I think are really, really important things to note. So I'm going to walk through a customer avatar. Who here has a customer avatar for their venue? One hand, two, yes, hopefully a few more than that. Maybe people are not quite sure if you're not involved directly in that. For the people that did put their hands up, how many of you have reviewed that in the last 12 months? Yes, shining star here at the front. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so for anybody who's not familiar with this concept, I'm going to run through an example. My business works with quite a range of different industries, right through from startup businesses right through to huge corporates. But I chose to show you one of my customer avatars. And that's one key thing to think about. You don't just have one. Your venue probably has multiple customer avatars. That is fine. What I mean by customer avatars, for anyone that's not familiar, is you have different types of customers that are hiring your venue or attending your events.
I've heard it called a customer profile.
Yeah, customer profile, perfect as well. You will have multiple ones. That is fine. I'm showing you one of mine just to kind of walk you through how I do my marketing. What I will say about this is a real person. So when you're creating a customer avatar, please don't make one up because we all have dream clients, but the reality is if they're not a real person, it becomes very difficult to build a marketing strategy around a fake person. So this is Sam. Sam's one of our clients. I'm going to work through the middle here. So he's 38 years old. He's male. He's married. He has a couple of kids, 3 and 5-year-olds. He lives in London, or actually he lives in Surrey, but his business is based in London. His favorite quote, love your family, work super hard, live your passion. Any Gary Vee fans? Gary Vee. His occupation is a property lettings agent. His job title is he's the founder of director. His annual income is £120,000 per year. He finished college, but he did not attend university. And I know that he loves to ski. These are really important things, as you may not see. Why do I need to know this about Sam? This helps me when I'm, one, creating content to try to attract more Sams to my business. And it also allows me with my targeting to get quite niche if you're doing any kind of pay-per-click advertising. Some of his goals and values is to source 4 new properties a month for his agency. He values honesty, hard work, and open communication. Sources of information. This is really, really important for you to understand about your audience. Where do they go to source content, to understand more about what they do? So for Sam, he's read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, for anyone that's interested in that. He subscribes to the Property Investor magazine. He regularly visits the government planning portal for loft enhancements, extensions, and things like that on properties. He attends the Landlord Show. It's a conference that he attends. Gurus he follows, Rob Moore, Simon Zucci. And I also know that he attends the PPN networking events. Notice there that I'm not saying he likes to network. He attends networking events. I've given a specific one. The reason, again, that's really important is if I'm building a marketing strategy, Sam is my perfect client. I love him. I want more Sams. So if I'm building a marketing strategy, I could look at advertising in this magazine. I could look at exhibiting at this conference. I may look at attending that networking event. The more that I can understand about my perfect prospect, the more likely, or the easier it is for me to actually get in front of them. Challenges and pain points. For Sam, some of his challenges include staff, so recruiting the right people. One thing I want to point out here is notice that's nothing to do with marketing or anything to do with his business. This is just his general business problems. Again, there might not be an obvious way of me getting in front of him to present my business, and same goes for you guys. There might not be an obvious way of getting your venue in front of that person. But if we know that he's having issues with this, there may be a recruitment company we could partner with to help deliver a solution. There's just a lot of creative ideas that can come out of really understanding this detail about him. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to learn digital marketing. Some of his biggest pain points are sourcing new properties to manage, and his competition offering cheaper management fees. Objections to the role and sort of purchase decisions. This is something you guys will probably be quite familiar with your clients and customers, hopefully. He describes himself as an old school guy. Those are his words. He's never tried digital marketing. He hired a social media intern at one point, and nothing really happened. So that's sort of just some of his objections to actually working with an agency. And then he's actually the decision maker. So this kind of stuff is, again, sounds foundational, but it's really important to understand so that we can identify what kind of content are we actually going to create, and where are we going to promote it. That's going to help us increase our engagement levels. So,
how long would it have taken you to get that kind of information on the client? Is that over years?
No, not necessarily. It depends. It depends on your business. I know that's a horrible answer. It depends. Everybody hates that. A lot of that information you can get out of probably one discovery call. So if you've got, I would look at an existing client. Think of an existing client that you have right now who you love, who spend a lot of money, who do everything that you want them to do, who are open to objections. Whatever your perfect customer is, find that person that has done a sale with you before, and then just interview them. Record that data in your CRM or whatever it is you're using to track, and then build out an avatar. And it can amend, it will change. As I said, you'll have multiple ones probably. And there may be certain clients that does take a period of time, but I think it can be done as easily as, I try not to overthink these things too much, as like just get the basics, kind of get it in there. As you get to know him, you'll be able to build that out a little bit more, but at least that basic information is really easy with a conversational chat. Like, oh, what are you into? Oh, you like to ski? Oh, great. Like, it's not a difficult conversation. So understanding who your customer is and what their problems are means that you can create content that is more enticing, promote it via the platforms that these prospects actually use. And that's, I think, key here to improving engagement levels, is being in the right place. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of brands that you'll probably recognize, mainstream brands, to show you how they do this. So is everyone familiar with Lush? Recognizes the brand, yeah? So why they're awesome. They have a massive cult brand following. People that love Lush love Lush. They're unlike any other makeup brand in the marketplace. They have international reach, but they have a local and warm sort of fuzzy feeling about their approach. They're advocates of ethical buying, a huge one. They value social and corporate responsibility. Their branding is really simple and offers contrast between visuals. What I mean by that is, if you look at their branding, it's really plain and simple, which is the opposite of a lot of the things that you see with their product. So there's a really nice contrast there, and it's quite unique in their industry. They appeal to the girl who's had enough. That's their avatar, and who believes in what they believe. They aren't selling an image. When you think of Lush, you don't have a celebrity that comes to mind that is an ambassador. They're selling a viewpoint on how they define beauty. How they're doing this, right? They're selfless with their products. They offer free samples online. And if you ever visit a store, they're actually giving trials on pretty much everything. They follow their customers. And this is a really good example in terms of how they've improved engagement levels. Their customers started out on forums. So they weren't even using specific social media platforms. They were just on forums. And that was part of their marketing strategies. They used to get in there and have conversations. As their clients transitioned onto social media platforms, specifically Instagram, they transitioned with them. So again, they're very good at kind of understanding who their customer is. They have an organic marketing strategy. So they actually have no global advertising policy. They leverage social media, an organic social media, as part of their outreach. They've established a hashtag bath art. So as you can probably imagine what this is a really great way of driving engagement. They are really famous for their bath bombs. So they came up with this hashtag bath art, and now if you ever look at the hashtag, anybody who's dropped a bath bomb in a bath snaps a picture and tags in a hashtag, and it goes viral. So it's a really interesting way that they've improved engagement levels online with their brand. And they also distribute a lot of how-to videos on how to use their products. They really educate their customers on how to use the product. And through those videos are often talking about ingredients and the whole organic, social, environmentally friendly aspect of their brand. I've got another example, which is T-Mobile. T-Mobile is huge in the US, and a lot of these stats are actually for the US, but why they're awesome. They target a micro niche. So that they're a telecommunications company that is shedding what it means to be a telecoms company. They're catering to a smaller niche, which is young urban dwellers that don't want to be tied down and owned by a telecoms provider. They create messages that aim directly at their customers' biggest pain points and away from their biggest flaws. We're going to get into that in a second. They have a really strong and unique color palette for their industry. So anybody that recognizes any telecom brands, they're often blue. Blue is trust. They've gone bold. They're pink. It's everywhere. You know it when you see it. They pay ETFs, which is the biggest hurdle in switching carriers. This is a really good example of a customer problem. So they will pay early termination fees. So if you want to leave your existing provider and transfer to them, they will cover the cost of that, which is huge in terms of positioning. They allow customers to bring in unlocked phones to be able to switch to T-Mobile. Again, no other network does that right now, as far as I'm aware. How are they doing this? They actually use controversy to engage their audience. And this plays a little bit into their customer avatar, which is that sort of young urban audience. They were the first to embrace Twitter as a customer service tool. So we're going back a few years here. They were the first ones to, which is a bold move, because anybody that uses Twitter knows that you get attacked. And they just embraced that and said, we're going to be completely transparent and show you all of the flaws and show you how great our customer service is. They have a but why leadership technique. It's a 5-year-old leadership technique. So their CEO really promotes transparency. And anytime there's a new policy that's introduced, the question is asked is, but why? And then there's an answer given, and they ask, but why? And they really use this sort of 5-year-old technique to drum down and make things super simple. That's just a policy that they stand by, and you can see it across all of their marketing material. And they actually, this is where controversy, they actually started a war with competitors, which is a very bold move. AT&T and Verizon are their biggest competitors across the US. AT&T, they started a blog, just to give you some ideas in terms of engagement levels. They had a person travel abroad on an AT&T contract and use the phone however they wished. Data roaming, calls, text messaging, they let them drum up a huge bill with AT&T, and then they released a blog detailing that entire bill and the extortionate prices, and then compared it to their plans. So it was pretty ballsy, but it got a lot of attention, especially with their demographic. Again, they had another example with Verizon, another competitor. They were a competitor who ran an ad claiming that they had the fastest 4G out of every telecoms provider, which was actually not true. And so T-Mobile came out with a campaign across social media, which basically pointed them towards misrepresentation and showed them the statistics, showed them the results of what their fastest providers actually were, which is not them, but they just put it out there and showed consumers. And it was about building trust and transparency. So that was a really great way for them to improve engagement levels. So I realize these brands are sort of out of your sector, but I'm trying to give you a really good understanding of how, if you can truly, truly understand who your customer is, the content that you can create will help to drive engagement, and it's a really good way of just thinking a little bit outside the box and being quite creative. Does this make sense? Great. Well, we're going to dive into the first activity, and then we've got a little chance for Q&A afterwards. And then I also have some bonus content if we have some time too. So what we want to do is have you guys work through creating a customer avatar. So I just want you to spend 5 minutes. There should be some worksheets in the middle of your desks and you'll need to pair up probably and just run through and create a customer avatar for yourself. And then what we want to do is kind of move on to spend 10 minutes brainstorming a list of customer problems. And then I'm going to show you how to write a list of topics to resolve these problems.